Okay, so I bought another case knife. This is a case half Whittler, and this is in the white smooth bone with the chrome vanadium steel. And it's got that cool, I've heard people call it a pewter shield, so I guess it's made out of pewter. Apparently I have problems pronouncing that word, a pewter. Yeah, it's like an alloy steel or alloy metal, like, you know, most metals. But yeah, so I think it's made out of pewter, because I've heard other people say that. And it's got these really nice white smooth bone covers that actually look really nice, in my opinion. And this knife is put together pretty much how I wish every case knife was put together. If you look at the back springs and liners back here, there are like no gaps. I'm having trouble showing it off because of the lighting. There are like no gaps. There might be a slight gap between the two back springs there. But other than that, there's pretty much no gaps between the back springs and liners. And it just seems to be put together pretty well. Now, the bolsters are scratched up because I've been carrying it for the past like 2 nights. This knife has a clip point main blade. You can see that 2020 tang stamp there for the chrome vanadium knives. And then it's got a secondary pen blade. And if I close this to there, you can see CV for a chrome vanadium. So this one is carbon steel. This knife does have a little bit of blade rub. When you go to open the pen blade, it rubs against the clip point blade. For me, that's not the end of the world. I know some like collectors and stuff really don't like that. It doesn't bother me because this is a knife that just pretty much gets thrown around in my pocket. For the past 2 nights, it's why the bolsters have scratches on them and everything. This is just like a little, you know, knife to throw down in your pocket with your pocket change and keys and stuff, in my opinion. So that's what I use it for. But yeah, so I've had this for 2 days now. It's a lot. It's smaller than I thought it was going to be. In fact, I should have probably grabbed the Pocket Hunter to compare size. I'm going to grab the Pocket Hunter. So now I'm going to have to edit this video since I wasn't ready. But here it is compared to the Pocket Hunter. You can see that the blades, the clip point blades, are pretty much the same size. And when I was buying this knife, I was figuring it was going to be a little bit bigger than the Pocket Hunter. And it is, handle-wise. Like, holding onto this knife feels much better than holding onto the Pocket Hunter, just because of how small the Pocket Hunter is in your hand. And this has a good, you know, so maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe even 1/2 of an inch of extra room to grab onto with your hand when you're using the knife. So handle-wise, it is bigger than the Pocket Hunter, but the blades are pretty much the same size. And speaking of the Pocket Hunter is available in this cover material and the chrome vanadium now too. I would have gotten it in that, but when I bought my Pocket Hunter, there was no chrome vanadium available. So I got this pink one. I've shown this before. I have a video on it if you're interested in the Pocket Hunter. But anyway, back to the half Whittler. This is just probably one of the better put together case knives that I've ever seen. Most people know that case tends to have some slight, you know, problems with their knives, especially with like gaps. Yeah, here, like my Pocket Hunter, there's a gap there that's pretty noticeable. I don't have any problems with the Pocket Hunter. It's put together pretty well. This is like normal case, like this is what I expect a good case knife to be like. You know, have a small gap or two and then have everything else be fine. This is above expectations for case. and I wish that more case knives would come like this knife did. But anyway, also the tip on this knife is actually pretty sharp, which is surprising because normally the case knives clip point blades are rounded off and they're not very pointy. So that was a nice surprise too. Of course, the one thing with case knives, every single case knife that I've ever bought new, the edges on the knives are always very rough. You're gonna have to run it over a ceramic rod or something to smooth out the edge of the blade, because it's always very rough. I think they run it on like a belt sander at like 120 grit or something. I don't know. It's always very rough, and most of the time the edge grinds are unequal on the sides, but I don't really care about stuff like that. Of course, this knife doesn't have any blade play, which is one of my major things with pocket knives. I don't want them to have blade play. But yeah, so this is just a nice little knife to throw in your pocket. It's a little bit more substantial than the Pocket Hunter, although the blade's about the same size. So if you're going for size to blade, the Pocket Hunter is smaller for more blade, whereas this has a bigger area to grab onto while you're using it, which I think is probably what I prefer. And these past 2 days when I've been carrying this, I've had this in my pocket, and then I've been carrying the Wee Banter as like a main pocket knife, and I've actually been reaching into my pocket and grabbing this more than I'm grabbing the Banter. I think a lot of that is just I'm not used to carrying a pocket knife with a clip on it anymore, because 95% of the time I grab a slip joint and throw it in my pocket, and that's my pocket knife for the day. But everything that I've had to do with a knife in these past 2 days, I could easily get it done with this little knife. So anyway, that's the case half Whittler in this smooth white bone. And I really like it, and I really like the fact that Case seems to be offering some different knives in CV. So I hope that becomes a more prevalent thing, because I really like the chrome vanadium, because, you know, it stains and everything like carbon steel should. In my opinion, on slip joint knives, I think they should be carbon steel, just because that's how they were made way back. But that's just my opinion. Some people really like the stainless steel. So yeah, there's a couple other knives in this series. There's a sow belly Stockman, which is cool, and I might get one at some point. There's a mini copper lock. Of course, there's a trapper. Pretty much any series, there's going to be a trapper of it, because that's what Case claims is their most popular knife. But yeah, Case half Whittler, half decent little knife. I like it. I'm glad I decided to try it out. That's going to be it for this video before I continue to babble on about nothing forever.